Positions are supposed to be dying in the NBA. Guards rebound like bigs, centers pass like point guards, wings run offenses, and half the league's best players don't even fit cleanly into one spot anymore. But even in a positionless league, every era still has kings. So after the 2026 NBA season, I wanted to answer one question. Who is the best player at every position right now? Not who had the best resume, not who had the best career, not who I'd take 5 years from now. I'm talking about right now. If the playoffs started tomorrow, who owns each spot? Before people start yelling in the comments, here are the rules. I'm looking at scoring, playmaking, defense, how much I would trust them in the playoffs, how much pressure they put on a defense, and how much they change the geometry of the game. And because modern basketball is weird, some players could technically fit in multiple positions. The obvious picks for point guard, they have to be Shea, Brunson, Cade, and Luka. These four guys are in their own category when it comes to other point guards in the league. And at point guard, I'm going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the reason is simple. Shai controls the game without ever looking like he's forcing it. Some guards dominate with speed, some with shooting, some dominate by spamming pick and rolls until the defense breaks. Shai does something different. He just plays at his own speed, and somehow everyone else has to adjust to him. He doesn't rush into the paint, he walks defenders down. He changes pace, he gets them leaning, and once he gets to his spot, the possession is basically over. That's what makes him such a nightmare. He doesn't need to take 12 threes a game. He doesn't need to fly around the court like Ja Morant. He doesn't need to overpower people like Luka. Shai just keeps putting defenders in jail. And this isn't just the eye test. Shai averaged 30 points, 4 rebounds, and about 7 assists this past season. Won MVP for the second consecutive season, and he was named first team All-NBA. He also won Clutch Player of the Year, led the league with 175 clutch time points, and he also led the league in clutch field goals with 52 and 16 go-ahead field goals in the final 5 minutes or overtime. Now, the obvious pushback is Jalen Brunson, and honestly, I get it. Brunson just had the kind of playoff run that changes how people talk about your entire career. He led the Knicks to their first championship since 1973, won Finals MVP, and dropped 45 points in the closeout Game 5. That is not just a great playoff run, that is franchise history stuff. So if you're a Knicks fan, or not, and your argument is Brunson had the best point guard postseason, I'm not even fighting you that hard. He did the thing every star is judged by. He won. But Shai is harder to solve over 82 games and still gives you elite late game offense. He's bigger, he gets downhill easier, he puts more pressure on the rim, he draws more fouls, and defensively he's just a better two-way player than Brunson. Brunson can win you a possession, Shai can control the entire rhythm of the game. But even in a postseason where Brunson's team got the final word, Shai still averaged 27.6 points per game in the playoffs, right behind Brunson among the scoring leaders. So this isn't Brunson dominating while Shai disappeared. This is Brunson having the better championship story, while Shai still has the stronger overall best player case. Moving on to shooting guard. This might be the hardest position to define now, because most elite shooting guards are really lead creators. But if we're talking about the most dangerous player who fits the category, it's got to be Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, and honestly even Luka Doncic. This is where the old position names start to break, because the best shooting guard isn't just a shooter anymore. He has to be a scorer, passer, mismatch hunter, and late game problem. And that's why Luka stands out. When he has the ball, the defense isn't asking, can we stop him? They're asking, what are we willing to give up? Luka is almost impossible to rank by position because he plays like a point guard, scores like a wing, and punishes switches like a power forward. But if you put him at shooting guard, he instantly becomes the most dangerous player at the position. So yes, Luka is not a traditional shooting guard, but if Shai owns point guard, Luka becomes the most dangerous guard left on the board. And nobody at shooting guard matches his total offensive control. Donovan Mitchell can explode in a playoff series. Even Jaylen Brown, who just made All-NBA second team and put the Celtics on his back this past season, he gives you two-way wing scoring. So if you're looking for a list with a classic shooting guard, Booker or Edwards is probably your pick. But this isn't about who fits the label the cleanest, it's about who's the best player. And Luka's case is ridiculous. He led the NBA in scoring at 33.5 points per game, while also averaging around 7 boards and 8.3 assists. He also made first team All-NBA, joining Shai, So while other shooting guards are trying to win their matchup, Luka's trying to control the whole game. With Luka, every possession becomes a problem. Switch, and he hunts the mismatch. Drop, and he walks into the step back. Blitz, and he finds the release. Help too early, and someone gets a corner three. Help too late, he's already at the rim. That is why he's different. So no, he's not the purest shooting guard. He's just the biggest problem at the position. And that's why he's my shooting guard. So now we've come across the small forward. Small forward used to be the glamour position. Michael Jordan became a guard-wing hybrid. LeBron turned the position into an offense. Durant made it feel unfair, and Kawhi made it terrifying. But the question is, who owns this position today? Some names have the legacy, some names still have the highlights, but the real question is, who can give you elite production, survive playoff matchups, and still be trusted on both ends? And I'm gonna have to go with Jason Tatum. And honestly, this section does not work if you ignore what he just came back from. Because before we even get into the rankings, Tatum tore his Achilles in the playoffs last season. That is not a normal injury. That is the kind of injury that can change the way a player moves, the way people talk about his future, and the way a franchise sees its entire timeline. And that's why his case is different now. Tatum was already one of the most criticized superstars in basketball. When he plays great, people say he was supposed to. When he struggles, people act like it proves he was never that guy. Then he suffers one of the scariest injuries a basketball player can suffer, and comes back still looking like a top forward in the league. That matters, because Tatum's argument is not that he just has the cleanest highlight reel. He doesn't. It's not that he's the most unstoppable scorer at the position. Kevin Durant still exists. Tatum's case is that he gives you the most complete small forward profile. Size, scoring, rebounding, playmaking, defensive versatility, playoff experience, championship pressure, and now, on top of all of that, the resilience to come back from an Achilles tear and still be trusted as the center of a contender's offense. That is not something you can just brush past. LeBron had the legacy, KD had the shot making, Kawhi had the playoff mythology, Jaylen Brown had the power and explosiveness. But Tatum gives you the full modern small forward package right now. And the Achilles comeback makes the argument stronger, because it showed what his game is built on. Tatum is not just surviving off pure athleticism. He can be streaky, he can settle. There are nights where you want him to impose himself more. But the fact that he came back from an injury and still belongs in this conversation says everything. So for that reason, JT is my small forward. Now we have the power forward. And this is a tricky case, because this is where the NBA got completely weird. This used to be the bruiser position. Now it's filled with unicorns, oversized wings, defensive monsters, and players who don't really belong in one category. The spot comes down to physical dominance. So, who creates the biggest problem that a normal lineup can't solve? The picks have to be Giannis, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, and even Victor Wembanyama. And for me, it has to be Victor Wembanyama. Wemby is the uncomfortable answer because he might already be breaking the position. He protects the rim like a center, moves like a wing, shoots over everyone, and changes what shots opponents are even willing to take. At some point, calling him a power forward or center almost misses the point. He's just a problem. And I know the first reaction is probably, isn't Wemby a center? But that's exactly the problem with trying to rank players by old positions. Wemby does not fit cleanly into one box. He's a 7'5" anomaly like nothing we've ever seen. And he changes the entire shot chart like a defensive system by himself. I'm not leaving Wemby off this list just because the league hasn't invented a better label for him yet. Because nobody represents the evolution of a big man better than Wemby. In fact, leaving Wembanyama off this list would be like walking across a $100 bill on the side of the street and just not picking it up. He isn't the most polished power forward. He is not the strongest. He is not the most physically punishing, because Giannis Antetokounmpo still exists. But Wemby is the most terrifying problem, because this isn't the finished version of Wembanyama. And if this list is about who owns each position right now, I can't ignore the player who is already making the position feel outdated. That's why Victor Wembanyama is my power forward. And then we get to center, the position that somehow became the most skilled position in basketball. For decades, centers were judged by size, rebounding, defense, and post scoring. Now the best centers are running offenses, throwing cross-court passes, initiating sets, spacing the floor, and controlling games like point guards. Which brings us to the hardest question in the entire video. Jokic or Wemby? Oh, well, we already have Wemby at power forward. So, Jokic or Embiid? And finally at center, I'm taking Nikola Jokic. And this is the perfect place to end the video, because Jokic is the player who makes the whole position conversation feel ridiculous. For most of basketball history, centers were supposed to dominate with size, protect the rim, rebound, set screens, score in the post, be physical. Jokic does all of that, but that is not what makes him different. What makes him different is that he turned the center into the smartest position on the floor. He is not just a big man who can pass, he is an offense. And that's why, even with Wemby arriving, even with Embiid still being one of the most dominant scorers alive, even with AD giving you elite two-way value, I still think Jokic owns the center right now. Because Jokic does not just beat matchups, he solves the entire game. If you double him, he finds the cutter. If you stay home, he backs down into touch shots. If you bring help from the corner, the ball is already gone. If you switch, he punishes the mismatch. If you play drop, he picks you apart. If you pressure him, he slows the game down until your defense starts making mistakes. That is the Nikola Jokic experience. He makes basketball feel like a test where he already has the answer key. And the crazy part is, he does it without looking explosive. He's not flying above the rim. He's not blowing by people. He is not trying to win the highlight contest. He just makes the right decision over and over and over again until the defense breaks down. That's what separates him from every other center. Embiid might be the more physically dominant. Wemby might be the future. AD might be the better defensive anchor. But Jokic is still the most complete offensive center we've ever seen. And maybe the most complete offensive hub in basketball right now. He could score 30 without forcing shots. He can grab 15 rebounds without the game feeling like it is about rebounding. He can get 10 assists without playing like a traditional point guard. He just controls everything. Jokic changes what is simple. He makes impossible reads look normal. He makes role players look smarter. He makes spacing cleaner. He makes cutters dangerous. He makes every defensive choice feel wrong. That is the highest level of control in basketball. So if Shea is the point guard king because he controls rhythm, if Luka is the shooting guard king because of how he bends the whole defense, if Tatum is the small forward king because he gives you the complete two-way package, and if Wemby is the power forward king because he breaks the position, then Jokic is the center king because he redefined the position completely. He is not the future of center. He is what the future had to respond to. And that's really the point of this whole list. Positions are not dead. They just evolved. Point guards do not have to be pass first. Shooting guards do not have to play off ball. Small forwards have to do everything. Power forwards can be aliens. And centers can just run the entire offense. The NBA did not lose positions. The players just outgrew them. So those are my 5 position kings. And honestly, the hardest part of this list isn't picking the names. It's deciding what positions even mean anymore. Because the NBA isn't really built around 5 traditional roles now. It's built around advantages. Who creates them? Who destroys them? And who can still do it when everyone in the building knows the ball is going to them? So that's my list. Now I already know someone's mad. So please tell me the one pick I got completely wrong, and if the argument is good enough, I'll make a full video on it.